this guide, we'll be looking into all of the things you need to know about crafting classes, so-called Disciples of the Hand. Now then, just like with combat jobs, you can also unlock and use all crafters and gatherers at once. Aside from some class-specific armor like maybe a cooking apron, all of the 8 crafters share armor and accessories. The only real difference being in their primary tools and secondary tools. I highly advise you to level as many crafters as closely together as you can, as they often depend on each other to craft so-called pre-crafts for each other. Besides, if you level up all of the crafters together, you will need to lug around less equipment, so it is a win-win. Now, speaking of equipment, how do the stats of the crafters work? First, you may have noticed that when you equip a crafting class, your MP bar is replaced by a crafting points or CP bar. This is the resource you spend to use your crafting abilities. At any point in time where you are not actively crafting an item, your CP bar is automatically completely full. While crafting, your CP will not regenerate at all, and you have to actively use abilities to recover CP as you craft. What this means is that if you have a specific sequence of abilities that you intend to use, you need to make sure you start crafting with enough CP to not run out in the middle of the crafting process. Next, Craftsmanship improves your ability to increase the progress value on a craft. A large amount of your actions denote that they increase progress, and these scale with varying efficiency with your Craftsmanship stat. When highlighting a recipe in your crafting log, you can at any time see the value of 100% efficiency of progress in the top right of the menu. Additionally, the difficulty denoted in a recipe is the amount of progress you need to reach to finish a product. Finally, Control improves your ability to increase the quality value of a craft. Again, a large amount of your actions denote that they increase quality, and these scale with varying efficiency with your Control stat. When highlighting a recipe in your crafting log, you can at any time see the value of 100% efficiency of quality in the top right of the menu. Additionally, the quality line denotes how much your quality value starts at, increased by using high quality materials, and the number below that denotes the number you need to reach to guarantee a high quality craft. Keep in mind that the probability of crafting high quality items increases very gradually, making the first half of the bar much less significant than the second half. Before moving on, let's take a look at some of the other aspects of the crafting log. The staircase recipes are recipes you automatically unlock by reaching certain levels, while the start bag section contains master recipes, which are unlocked by purchasing, you guessed it, master recipe tomes. These are purchased for either kill or specific items in A Realm Reborn, and later on for scripts. This menu also includes a list of different housing items, collectible items, custom deliveries, Beast Tribe quest specific items, even recipes for specific quest lines, recipes for the Firmament, Ishgard Restoration, and finally dyes. Most of these things are self-explanatory, but scripts and collectibles are something we will get back to a bit later, as they are directly related. Now, how does the process of crafting an item work? First, in your crafting log, you can at any time use either the Synthesize, Quick Synthesis, or Trial Synthesis options. The Quick Synthesis option is only available for items you have managed to craft previously, and roughly mass crafts the item for you. This grants far less experience, and also will rarely result in high quality products, even if your gear would make it trivial for you to accomplish that. The Trial Synthesis option is a practice ground meant for you to test whether you can produce the item as you want it without spending any materials. Consider doing this to make sure you don't waste any materials, as failed products will not refund any materials. When actively crafting, you will be using the Synthesize option. This then starts the crafting process and opens the Synthesis menu. Here you can see which step you are on if this is something you wish to keep track of. You can also see your current progress and quality, including the probability that the item will turn out high quality if the process finishes. You can also see your item's durability and condition. The Calculations button opens a menu that allows you to immediately track how much progress or quality a specific action will grant should you use it right now. Whenever you use an action that increases progress or quality, it reduces durability by 10 unless stated otherwise. If the durability reaches 0, the craft fails unless progress reached its maximum in the same instant. When the progress bar is completely filled, the crafting process immediately ends and the high quality chance is used to determine your item. For this reason, it is important to make sure you do everything in your power to fill the quality bar as much as you can before you finish progress. Finally, the condition. Normal condition is the default value. Whenever you perform any action, regardless of whether it reduces durability or not, when the condition is normal, there is a 25% chance the next step will have a good condition and a 10% chance it has an excellent condition. When the condition is good, it increases the amount of quality your next action will generate by 50%. When the condition is excellent, it quadruples it. After a good condition action, the condition will always change back to normal. After an excellent condition action, the condition will always change to poor, which halves the quality generated for that action. After the poor condition, it always changes back to normal. When you're trying to optimize your crafting, you should be wary of these conditions. While excellent and good often will just make you able to round off a craft sooner, if you don't pay attention, a poor condition at exactly the wrong time can be devastating. Now, all buffs you apply when crafting are step-based, meaning that the number below the buff indicates how many actions you can take with it active. Some actions also only last a certain number of specific actions or can only be used on a specific step. Additionally, any time-based buffs like food buffs or drafts or syrups, stat-boosting potions intended for crafters, cannot run out in the middle of a craft and the buff duration will simply disappear. Next, let's look at all of the actions available to the crafters. I will talk about some general crafting sequence advice a bit later, covering both max level and substitutes for low level. The main types of actions you have access to are large varieties of synthesis actions and touch actions. Synthesis actions all increase the progress of the craft, with the basic synthesis additionally being completely free. Most of these actions are guaranteed to work the same way every time, with some having special requirements or properties. Rapid synthesis is free and generates an absurd amount of progress. However, it only works like half the time, and so I would not recommend using it. Groundwork costs twice as much durability as normal to perform, but also generates significantly more progress in a single action, which when combined with buffs can make it very powerful. Prudent synthesis, on the other hand, only costs half durability, but is unaffected by other durability cost reducing effects. Intensive synthesis requires the condition of the craft to be good or excellent, but is the most powerful, reliable synthesis option. This can be helpful to save some durability if you intended to use groundwork. Finally, muscle memory is one of the 3 opener actions, where muscle memory both increases progress significantly for very cheap, while also doubling the value of your next progress action within a few steps. When making a craft, you should make sure to plan in such a way that you have enough durability and CP to completely fill the progress bar. You can choose between filling it mostly at the start and then using all the time you have in excess on quality, and then finishing off the item right at the end. Or you can do all the quality you can muster and then take note of how much you need to complete the item once you are done. Now, regarding quality, a large amount of your touch actions are almost exact mirror images of your synthesis actions, just that they instead increase quality. Whenever you use a quality increasing action, you gain a stack of the buff Inner Quiet, which increases the power of all of your quality increasing actions by 10%. You can hold up to 10 stacks, meaning that the power is doubled. Some of your actions can directly interact with this buff. The basic, standard and advanced touch actions can be used as a combo sequence to save some CP, which will be especially helpful when you don't have much CP to work with, mostly involving basic and standard touch in low levels. Precise touch works as the quality equivalent of intensive synthesis, requiring a good or excellent condition to be usable. As a bonus effect, this increases Inner Quiet by an extra stack when used. Preparatory touch is the quality equivalent of groundwork, doubling both the durability cost and inacquired stacks generated. And finally, Buyer-God's Blessing increases quality and consumes the inacquired buff stacks to empower itself, working as an effective finishing move. Once unlocked, you should always try to plan Buyer-God's Blessing as your last quality action. Reflect is the quality option of the 3 step 1 actions. It is a very cost-efficient quality action that also increases inacquired by an extra stack. Typically, for difficult recipes, you will most likely use muscle memory over Reflect. There is also the delicate Synthesis, which adds both progress and quality, but in most cases, this is a very niche option. If you for some reason want to make use of a progress increasing buff, and it is necessary to use it now, but it would finish the craft too soon, you can use Final Appraisal to make sure it does not finish. Be aware that this is not very efficient, but can be necessary. Final Appraisal costs 1 CP and is the only action that does not count as a step at all. The third and final of the 3 step 1 actions is Trained Eye, which is only usable on items you significantly outlevel. Its purpose is that it instantly maxes out the quality, making it very easy to craft quickly. This then leads us to all of the management actions to use alongside these. First, the only action in your arsenal that generates CP is Tricks of the Trade, which sacrifices an opportunity to use a good or excellent condition in exchange for 20 CP. Be aware that the excellent condition is still followed by a poor condition. Veneration and Innovation boosts the progress and quality, respectively, generated from actions for the next 4 steps. Be aware that other boosting effects stack additively, meaning that the doubling effect of muscle memory combines with Veneration for a grand total of 150% extra value. Great Strides boosts the next quality action within 3 steps by 100%, combining with Innovation for 150% as well. Typically, when performing actions, you will use Veneration or Innovation, followed by a sequence of actions that benefit from them. Innovation and Great Strides are used together for Buyer-God's Blessing to maximize the finisher. For managing durability, you have Master's Mend, Manipulation, which is learned by doing your job quest, do your job quests, and the variants of Waste Not. Master's Mend instantly recovers 30 durability, but never more than the total durability of the item. Manipulation instead recovers 40 durability spread over 8 steps, so make sure you use it in good enough time that you won't break the item before that. Manipulation is far more cost effective than Master's Mend. On the other hand, while Waste Not 2 gives twice as much duration as Waste Not 1 and even costs less than double the CP, the fact that your other buffs Innovation and Veneration are beholden to 4-turn buff counts makes Waste Not 1 far more viable, even if it sounds backwards. Typically, you will start a sequence with either Muscle Memory or Reflect, then Manipulation, then optionally Waste Not, followed by either Veneration or Innovation, and then a set of actions. Waste Not being optional is mainly tied to the fact that Prudent Touch is a very popular action for quality and is not usable with Waste Not. Finally, Observe is possibly your most complex action of them all. You see, it does nothing! Well, not quite. It allows you to skip a poor condition step, although this is rarely worth it. What it also does is make Focused Synthesis and Touch useful, which due to their better cost efficiency, even counting Observe, can be helpful for some of the last actions on an item. You also have an action at level 90 called Trained Finesse that allows you to increase quality at no durability cost, but only if you max out your inacquired. Outside of particularly difficult crafts, this is mostly considered a victory round ability, and you are likely perfectly capable of finishing the craft right without this. Now, regarding crafting sequences, or rotations, or even macros, the best ones always seem to change as people find more optimal ways to do things. If you want the best of the best sequences, I will advise you to look them up, as I cannot deliver an updated option for you. What I can do is suggest general crafting sequence advice. Every craft you make should always start with either Muscle Memory or Reflect. If muscle memory plus veneration and whatever synthesis action you wish to combine with muscle memory will not max out the progress, use muscle memory. Otherwise, use reflect. Then use manipulation. If you intend to work on progress, then use veneration first, followed by waste not 1. Mainly use groundwork to increase progress, as the combination of manipulation and waste not makes its intense durability use very negligible. If intensive synthesis is available, you can replace groundwork with this. If you intend to work on quality, use innovation, followed by 4 prudent touches. This can be repeated based on your CP and quality needs. When you are within reach, finish quality by using Great Strides, Innovation and Biogod's Blessing. Then focus on rounding off the progress on the item. If you are at a lower level, you will not have access to the vast majority of the actions I mentioned. You will also notice that many actions are not used at all. If you don't have access to manipulation yet, then clever timing of Master's Mend can compensate. If you don't have access to Prudent Touch, a combination of Waste Not and any touch action you do have available can compensate. Use Innovation first, then Waste Not, then 4 touches, as the durability is likely more valuable than the quality boost. And finally, if you don't have groundwork, careful synthesis or even basic synthesis are excellent replacements until then. Again, if you want to use the very best, you may find better options by looking at actively updated text guides on rotations and macros. However, if you like to find your own way, I feel these tips should give you plenty to work with. Occasionally, you may find you have more durability left to work with, but no CP. In these cases, Hasty Touch may also be helpful, just so you don't waste durability you could have made use of. Now, at level 55, you can unlock the Soul of the Crafter, which allows you to choose up to 3 specializations. This gives the specialized crafters a slight boost to their stats and gives you special access to a few recipes when they are new. You can see this in the Requirements tab of the crafting log on any item if you need to have the specialization to craft it. It costs a relatively small amount of scripts to change a specialization, so it is not a final decision. Just choose 3 that you use more than the others and you should be fine. In addition to the small stat boost, Specialization also gives you access to 2 extra actions, both of which costs a material to use, Crafter's Delineation, which is also purchased for scripts. Careful Observation is a super version of Observation that only advances the condition of the item, allowing you to freely skip a poor condition, for example. Heart and Soul allows you to make use of the 3 actions Precise Touch, Intensive Synthesis and Tricks of the Trade without the condition being correct. Careful Observation can be used 3 times per craft, while Heart and Soul only once. Take note that these actions will still spend delineations in trial crafts. Now, about those scripts. At level 50, you can do the quest Inscrutable Tastes to unlock collectibles. This is a separate tab in the Start Bag menu. When attempting to craft a collectible, some additional information is shown about the quality. Instead of rolling between normal or high quality items, you now produce a fixed collectability rating. This extra information tells you the 3 ranking values of collectability: acceptable, decent and maximum value. Go to an appraiser to trade the collectible item for scripts, the crafter and gatherer equivalent to tomestones. Leveling a crafter also gives you access to a few other convenient tools. First, every piece of equipment details a specific crafter that is capable of repairing it. Repairing your own equipment is always more cost effective than paying an NPC to do it. On the other hand, any crafter can perform Materia melding on equipment, as long as you're a high enough level with a crafter. If you want to learn more about Materia melding, I have a separate guide on this. When your crafter reaches level 30, you can do the quest Gone to Pieces to unlock Desynthesis, which allows you to destroy an item to turn it into part of what it consists of. Sometimes this is profitable. Your Desynthesis skill is a separate attribute associated with each crafter, and when it is over a certain threshold compared to the item you're desynthing, you have a greater chance of receiving more valuable items from the process. There is no chance of failure. Now, to round off, let's talk about some ways to level your crafter. I would highly advise you to do your class quest line, as it is mandatory to unlock manipulation, crafter specialization, as well as the quality assurance passive trait. It is also a decent way to have something to aim for as you progress. Should you run out of class quests to do, there are a bunch of other ways to level. Leave quests can be repeatedly done for a decent amount of experience. Just mind that there is a daily allowance combined with a massive 100 maximum allowance limit, so the allowance can sneak up on you. Every day, your Grand Company will request some items delivered, and this gives an enormous amount of experience. Custom deliveries are side quest projects with specific NPCs where you can hand in up to 6 specific collectibles per NPC, or 12 in total per week. This gives a very decent amount of experience, alongside some scripts. For Shadowbringers and Endwalker, there are also story quest lines that give a large portion of experience. Be aware that these are portioned out with 3 quest lines spread amongst the 8 crafters, so these won't be available for every crafter you level up. The Mogul, Namatsu and Dwarf Beast tribes also offer a few daily quests for crafters every day. I have a guide on how beast tribes work if you're interested in learning more about those. You can of course also just craft a lot of items in your level range. Just remember to manually craft them and maximize quality to get the most out of your materials, as the quality amount also boosts the experience you gain. You can also actively choose to craft collectibles once this is unlocked, and while it can be expensive sometimes to acquire the materials, if you get the collectability high enough, the experience is very good. And finally, you can also craft collectible items specifically in the Firmament in Ishgard, which also gives you experience. And instead of crafter scripts, you get sky builders scripts, which can purchase other items. Once you reach max level, the best way to optimize your crafter is to use crafted gear, as this allows you to melt more materia into it. To reliably craft the hardest recipes in the game, which does include combat equipment ready for raiding, you will need the best crafting equipment you can get, alongside good food and syrup or drafts. I highly advise you to look up suggested crafter setups that match optimized sequences before investing a lot of gil into this. But it is a great target to aim for if you enjoy crafting. That is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it helpful or interesting, please consider leaving a like. You can also subscribe to be notified when next I post a video. If you have any questions or anything to add, please leave a comment down below. Fun fact: before Shadowbringers, Desynthesis worked slightly differently. If your skill was below a certain threshold, there was a large chance of failure instead of simply getting a lower chance on the valuable items. This meant that some players would mass purchase items off NPC vendors to mass desynthesize the items right in their face. Pretty silly when you think about it.